Donald Trump, President-elect Donald Trump now, we can call him that, of course is talking, he's a big fan of cryptos, and that's why all the cryptocurrencies rallied yesterday. Bitcoin is now at 76,000 plus. But he's not a fan of CBDCs. And the rest of the world, major central banks around the world, major economies around the world, over the last 4 years have done a lot of work on CBDCs. He's not a fan of the digital dollar. But right here in Singapore, you've worked on Project Orchid. You've done e-money trials for the e-Sing dollar. And so how does this really influence the thinking around the world? Could it be disruptive for the global financial and banking system, his thinking around CBDCs?
Let us understand what is his worry. His worry is about the privacy aspect. He thinks it's a programmable money. It can affect the privacy of people who hold CBDC. I think when the discussion comes to a policy on the CBDCs or the digital currencies, there will be some rationalization. I think there's a bit of an unfounded worry there that this is going to affect your privacy. Of course, you program something by design, it means that I can program and understand who is holding the what money. I think that's the fundamental, privacy is the fundamental issue, which I think the issue has been on adopting CBDC. But once you get that rationalized, there could be a middle ground somewhere out there. Now, CBDC doesn't mean that there are two kinds of CBDC. There's a retail CBDC, there's a wholesale CBDC. And wholesale CBDC is a whole different ball game. It's a settlement currency. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding of CBDC. I think what he meant was the retail CBDC. People holding money, digital money on the wallet. This is a different ball game.
I think he has a problem with the issuance as well, right? The Federal Reserve having control on the issuance.
That's the retail part. But all of us central bank are actually focused on wholesale CBDC. It's a settlement currency. It works behind the scene, make things easier. I think that distinction has to be made against wholesale and retail CBDC.
But even in wholesale CBDC, right, wouldn't you want an interoperable, interlinked and integrated global system where the dollar cannot be out of the frame, right?
It is part of the...
Being the prominent reserve currency of the world, being the prominent trade currency of the world.
It will still remain that. I don't think wholesale CBDC will change that. It is going to make it more efficient. Again, we'll go back to the real point of the issue, privacy. And the privacy only affects when you're holding a retail version of the currency. It will not affect what most central banks are working on is the wholesale CBDC. That's my belief.
The other big concern is about, I know FinTech entrepreneurs may be very excited yesterday, like you said, about the new regime, is about deregulation or lighter regulation,
I think that,
as you put it.
Yes, it's a lighter regulation.
But isn't that a worry?
Well, any regulation when you undermine, it isn't a worry there. But I think from a lighter regulation perspective, we don't know exactly what it means. I think once they all settle down, they will actually talk about where does the lighter regulations will be put in effect. But broadly speaking, when you talk fintech, it's also again very generalized word fintech. What it means that banking regulation or technology-driven banking, will they have a lesser regulation? But I think in the US, most of the time the election discussion and the actual legislation has to have two different images. I don't think there will be significant change in regulation. It will still remain as it stands today. Some here and there adjustment will be made, but largely, broadly, the trend will remain positive. More importantly, I think the market expectation is very strong there. So which we'll see a positive trend there.
Right. So I think what I gather from what you're saying is he'd be more practical in his approach
more pragmatic.
once he gets into the White House.